phone coverage from any city in Montana. We can't compete as a state with Cambodia. We bombed Cambodia. Classroom innovation, a lot of times, it's not only money, it's the teachers don't want to do it. You know, and when you have only 5 years left, I don't want to learn a new system, and that's a challenge for management to inject the right technology into a classroom and make sure the curriculum addresses what we see in the job market. The curriculum can't follow the job market. The curriculum's got to be ahead of it, right? But I'm an advocate for public schools, but I'm an advocate too for making sure we improve. And it's just not money. Money's part of it. So, don't get me wrong, I don't think privatization is the answer. I do think competition is good. I think competition between schools is good. The bill that I sponsored, that was the last remaining vehicle for funding, last time, and it became something that it wasn't intended to be. My bill was to give you the flexibility, because the public schools are given money, in little blocks. It's very difficult to spend money for something else because you can't. It's a different color of money. I thought it was, put it in a joint account, consolidate with other schools, and have a little more flexibility with how you spend it. Yes, sir.
Other than lumber, what other Montana businesses are being seriously negatively impacted by excessive government involvement?
Not the oil and gas industry. There's a lot of gas wells out there that we could be drilling that we can't, even though the wells are, you have a well here, a well here, you have a plot, you buy it, you can't go for it. And mostly it's EPA and not Montana. And with the lumber, Montana manages the forests, our forests, a lot better. You can ask all sides. Montana does a better job of managing state forests than Forest Service. Forest Service have become, a series of litigations. Banking. The small banks, especially community banks, that are being held to the same standard as a $50 billion institution. Dodd-Frank. If you know about politics, those two guys. It's amazing that they have their names on a bill that's intended to fix it. And part of the fix was so we wouldn't make something so large that was too large to fail. But ironically, the government did exactly the opposite. As the smaller banks are under threat, we see consolidation in the financial industry because the smaller banks can't compete when they have a regulatory environment the same as a $50 billion institution. Your community bank, sometimes they have 3 or 5 people, and they have to hire a complete series of regulatory compliance folks that reduces the margin. So to me, I think a micro category in that, let the smaller banks function with less paperwork. If they fail, they're not going to bring down the United States government. They're not going to bring down Montana. The Stockton's Bank or Valley Bank, or the banks in Montana are pretty small. I think they should operate, with less federal oversight. Sarbanes-Oxley, I'll tell you real quickly about Sarbanes-Oxley. I sit in the director of an energy technology company. And Sarbanes-Oxley, for a small company, is just a bridge too far. We're not excellent. We're almost a pre-revenue company, and we're in the same regulatory environment as excellent. And so that costs us about $750,000 a year that we could put towards better payroll or R&D. Yes, ma'am.
I own a small business here in Helena, and I feel like I'm always categorized with whether it be timber or coal or energy companies, but I'm a mom and pop shop basically. I have 1 FTE and 10 employees max. And you mentioned that government is interfering with small businesses. Could you tell me specifically how it would be interfering with my shop?
How's your account?
Fabulous.
How much you pay? How much you pay for your account?
I do it.
You do accounting? Are you an accounting firm?
No.
I have a small business too, and we have, employees out there. And in order for me to fill out the right forms on unemployment insurance, on worker compensation, on all the litany of things that I must be in compliant to believe, as a public figure, I am absolutely compliant. I could probably run to 7, 8% on my margins with the accountants, and I have a very complicated business, but I pay a lot in making sure that I'm compliant across the board. As an example, I don't think our tax code, which Max Baucus wanted to reform, I think our tax code is so convoluted that we need an easier tax code for me to be compliant and run my business. And it depends on your business model, what you do. I can tell you, if you're a manufacturing business, a small manufacturing business of 10 or 15, is that the number of people they have that are administrative roles as opposed to manufacturing roles is out of hand. It's out of center. We're spending more time on trying to make sure that things are in the right box and reporting procedures are done.
Ryan?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I do have one last thing. Dan. Sorry, Dan.
This doesn't explode.
No, it does not. And, I do this is a 50 caliber round. And when I was in SEAL Team 6, we developed a 50 caliber sniper rifle, not for personnel, but for hard targets. And when I came back from Iraq and I joined the legislature, I had some real problems about the 50 caliber because I knew how it was developed. I knew what it was for, and I thought, I'm not sure it's a good idea that someone can just go into a gun shop and buy one of them. Well, I went around Montana. I can tell you my opinion was in the far minority. Because Montanans love guns. And it was a reminder to me as a legislator, as who you work for. We may agree or disagree on subjects, but as a legislator and a congressman, I work for you. And whether you agree or disagree with me personally, you're my boss. And I'll listen, always. So I've changed my mind at 50, because Montana is clearly with the weapons. But I do think, as far as these things go, I think, Mr. Sheriff, I think you know better about who should be getting these than a federal database. So, I'm an advocate of the sheriff making the call on these things, rather than the federal government. But this is not a round. This is a pin. And since you are in the business world, as I understand, if you sign a contract with this, it will never be broken.